canceling the rent, you can't cancel rent. This isn't a Netflix subscription or a restaurant reservation or even a dentist point that you're dreading. This is your rent. Canceling the rent is about as real as the Tooth Fairy or Santa Claus. And it's about as stupid as eating spaghetti with a spoon while blindfolded, wearing white. Moreover, your rent is a contract, which is a legally binding document. You signed it. You have to abide by the terms of the contract. Contracts have consequences. And I know in this world we live in a Democrat cancel culture. They're belly aching, bloviating, and canceling everyone left and right. We think that this canceling rent is a real thing. I assure you that it's not. This is not a Costco sample. Nothing is free in this world. We have to teach our children and show the world that when we do something, we have to live with the consequences. Moreover, the jobs report came out today. 1.8 million new jobs were created, and unemployment is down amongst all minority categories. For example, Black unemployment is down 14%, Hispanic 12%, and Asian 12%. There are jobs out there. People are getting back to work. Landlords' lives matter. Pay your rent.
This is a question of humanity. We need to cancel the rent. As of right now, 50% of white people, because that seems to matter here in America, they will not be able to pay their rent. How about 40% of the people in New York City won't be able to pay their rent? What about bailing out people, since it seems the government loves to do that? Why don't we bail out the people who make this country work? We built out Wall Street. We built out the airline industry. We built out the farmers. What about the people? It'll cost us more because that seems to be the only thing that people care about, to put all these people in homeless shelters. Why don't we take care of people so we can make a real profit? It's disgusting how this current Republican-led government has colossally failed this nation. First, we failed with the coronavirus, and now we're sending hardworking, tax-paying Americans into poverty. Is this what we want to be known for on the world stage? Is this how we want to be remembered, that we cannot take care of the least of us? And people referring to landlords matters. It's an absolute insult. American people matter. Black lives matter. This is about profit. This is about gain. And it's disgusting that we will leave our people to starve and stand on bread lines. And let's remember, when people talk about Democrats, as of late, Republicans have led people to stand on bread lines. The very people who foolishly voted for them had to wait in their car for 3 hours, who needed a stimulus packet. It sounds like we need a little bit of socialism because it's not working. So what we need to do is cancel the rent so America can finally get back on track, and we need to elect a new president in November.
Hello and welcome back to another Millennial Minute. Today's burning question: should rent be canceled? You've already heard from our guests, Erin Elmore, she's the executive director of USA Strong, and Shavona Newsom, co-founder of Black Lives Matter Greater New York. Thank you so much for being here for this important topic. So obviously we have a problem. A third of Americans couldn't make full housing payments, whether it's mortgages or rent, in July. If we aren't canceling the rent, what is the solution? We'll start with you, Erin.
The coronavirus is obviously at the bottom of that giant hill. We were flattening the curve, and we have flattened it. Americans are getting back to work. As I said in my opening statement, the jobs numbers came out today. 1.8 million jobs were created in July. Americans need to get back to work. We need to stimulate the economy. And there have been PPP, there have been stimulus, there have been unemployment benefits extended. It is time for America to get back to work, pick themselves up by the bootstraps, and be accountable for their own actions.
What do you have to say to that?
I love when people say pick people up by the bootstraps. It's hard to ask a man to pick himself up by the bootstraps when he has no boots. Right now, Americans do not have boots. The stimulus packet has run out. It's been drastically reduced. Americans are not completely back to work. As you know, we cannot believe the current numbers, and we cannot believe the GOP talking heads who come out. This is about humanity. As I said earlier, it is about securing Americans. If people have secure housing, guess what? They'll be in a better place mentally, and they'll be capable of completing their jobs. Right now, it's a huge cluster. Kids can't even go back to school properly. Down in Georgia, it's back in quarantine. So it's hard to believe anything coming out of the White House, or rather we should return to work, whether we should send our kids to school. California is about to reclose again. This country and its current administration has no idea the long-lasting effects of the coronavirus, and we need to take this into account. These are unprecedented times.
So, Erin, one of the things you said is, these government mandates end up falling on landlords, right? And full disclosure, I'm a landlord. I own a house in Florida that I rent out. So let's say I wasn't able to collect rent. What should landlords do? And a lot of landlords like myself are, middle class.
Absolutely. In theory, everything that Shivana says makes sense to a lot of people, and I understand where she is coming from. Having said that, a landlord is a person too. A landlord also is hungry and has to go out and get that bread. A landlord has children and has families and has bills to pay as well. We can't rob Peter to pay Paul here. Canceling the rent sounds great. It's a headline. It looks great in a newspaper, but in reality and actuality, there has been no thought put into this and what it would actually look like. And we've spoken here about these bread lines. That's what socialism will bring. So if you want socialism, you will see more of those bread lines and suffering. Socialism is not the answer here. It's capitalism. These landlords need to support their families as well. And people signed contracts for rents. These are legally binding documents. They are something that are enforceable in a court of law. You got to pay your rent. There's no such thing. This is America. This is the American dream. This is a capitalistic society. Enough of this bloviating. It's insane.
Yeah, so could we find a solution maybe where landlords aren't left on the hook for, government promises? Is there a way to kind of make both of these things happen?
Capitalism was built on the back of my ancestors here in this country. So capitalism always comes at the fault of the little guy. If we were able to bail out Wall Street immediately, if we were able to bail out these industries, maybe landlords should be petitioning for a bailout themselves, because it can't come from people. If only 26% of Black people are able to pay their rent and only 50% of white people are going to pay their rent, where are we magically supposed to get it from thin air? The American government has the funds to go to war. It has the funds to pay for anything that we may need. Now it's time to bail out the people. I'm not forgetting the landlords. I understand their issues. I understand that they have families to feed, and they should be taken care of as well.
Do you worry about creeping government? Because, your counterpart here is saying, let's just bail out all the landlords. But when does the buck stop with all these bailouts, and how do we ever get back to normalcy if we start bailing everyone out?
She should be very concerned about the words of Joe Biden yesterday. He came out and said very defamatory and negative things about both the Hispanic population and the African American population, when our president, Donald Trump, has done so many great things to help the African American community, whether it's prison reform and helping people get off food stamps and job creation. So truly, I think that the Republican Party is the one that we should be looking to as a paradigm for success in this country.
Well, thank you both for being here and for being respectful to each other. We really value both of your opinions, and this is a great conversation. And thank you all for watching. Have a fabulous day.